And with that, we are just about ready to get started in this one. Welcome, everybody, to the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex here in Fort Lee, New Jersey. My name is Tommy Aquilina, and I will be here with you tonight as the Fort Lee Bridgeman football team plays their third game of the year, and it is the home opener. They will be taking on division rival Indian Hills. The two teams will do the coin toss now, and then we'll get right underway for this one. So the Indian Hills Braves defer, and they will kick it off to the Fort Lee Bridgemen, who will start their home season with the ball. Again, my name is Tommy Aquilina. Thank you so much for joining us here on a very pleasant Friday evening into night. The Friday night lights are on, even though the sun has not quite gone down yet. Sky very pretty right now. And we are just about set for some action. The Braves kick it off, and receiving it will be number 7, Caleb Park for Fort Lee. The Bridgemen wearing their home blacks, going up against the Braves in their road whites. Those are navy numbers with gold accenting. And Fort Lee wearing mostly black with white numbering and some orange accenting. The Bridgeman offense takes the field. We are underway for the first of 4 12-minute quarters here at the Sugarman Sport Complex. Senior quarterback Luke Senator and company will get things started. The Fort Lee offense has been white hot to start the season. Going to start things off with a handoff right up the gut for 7 or 8 yards for Fort Lee, I believe was number 9, Josh DeHoyas. Another senior for the Bridgemen. Luke Senator, the senior, his younger brother CJ also on the team, two of the more dynamic members of Mike Gerst's offense. Second and short, they fake a handoff. Receiving it and breaking a tackle for Fort Lee is number 21, CJ Senator. Brotherly connection leads to a 5-yard pickup and a first down. Fort Lee 2-0 on the season. A flag flies as we have a fake handoff. Luke Senator has a first down. If this play stands, we will see what this flag is all about. It looks like it's going to go against Indian Hills. So it's a sideline warning going against the Bridgemen. They're not going to actually penalize them for that. That's the point of a warning. So it is a first down run for Luke Senator, who can beat you with his arm and with his legs. Senator not only has 8 touchdowns and just 1 interception in the first 2 games of the year, also leads the team with 26 carries and 3 rushing touchdowns coming into this one. Stats courtesy of NJ.com. Almost fumbling it, and now fumbling it is CJ Senator. Did his older brother fall on it? Yes, I believe he did. So a loss of yardage on the fumble by the younger Senator brother. Luke recovered it in a dangerous situation. CJ Senator leads the team with 259 rushing yards, also leads the team with 199 receiving yards. Luke Senator going for the home run ball. He's got it. Fort Lee has a quick lead. Number 11, Azel Orta, hauls in the touchdown grab. More than 50 yards, and the Bridgemen start this one fast. Number 84, Alteo Tabaku doing the kicking for Fort Lee, and the extra point is good.
7-0 Bridgeman, with 9:48 remaining in the first quarter.
So Alteo Tabaku adds the extra point. Azel Orta has his 5th reception of the year, his first touchdown grab, and for Luke Senator, that is his 9th passing touchdown. The senior quarterback has also run for 3 scores, and just 1 minute and 12 seconds, or no, 2 minutes and 12 seconds into this one, the Bridgemen have the lead. Fort Lee put up 90 points in their first 2 games of the year, both divisional wins. A 40-22 win at Fair Lawn, and 8 days ago, on the 11th, a 50-40 win at Ridgefield Park. The Fort Lee offense stays hot, and they now kick things off to Indian Hills. The Braves 2-1 on the year, as a good tackle is made there by number 18, Johnny McCann.
Johnny McCann on the top of the Bridgeman. Indian Hills takes over 1st and 10 from the 28-yard line.
Indian Hills is also 2-0 in September, although they started their season with a 27-0 road loss at New York's Xavier High School on August 29th. So Indian Hills 2-0 in division, tied with Fort Lee for first place in the Super Football Conference Ivy Red division, tied with Fort Lee and Demarest actually, but 2-1 overall. And we're going to start things off with a handoff here. And on that run, it's number 9, Griffin DeMassey. Starting quarterback, the junior, number 11, Matt Kazmerchak for Indian Hills. Kazmerchak has not thrown for a touchdown this year. He does have 1 rushing score. DeMassey, meanwhile, entered this one with 12 carries for 16 yards. That was a 2-yard run. So on 2nd and 8 from the Indian Hills 30, another handoff. A much more successful one, but eventually running into a Bridgeman is DeMassey. That was number 57, Colin Suh, on the tackle. So that was a 4-yard run for DeMassey. It'll be 3rd and 4 for the Braves. Their offense has not been quite as dynamic so far as Fort Lee. 54 points in 3 games. They have outscored opponents, and they have put up 27 points in each of their 2 most recent wins. Timeout taken here. First of the game with 8:15 remaining here in the first quarter. Indian Hills head coach Dan Morangi, I believe, calling the timeout. So that'll drop Indian Hills down to 2 timeouts remaining in the half.
Indian Hills timeout.
Mentioned the Braves 2-1 on the year. They only went 4-6 last year. Fort Lee had a much more successful season, even though both teams were 3-3 in division. The Bridgemen went 7-3 last year, including a 20-7 win at Indian Hills on September 21st. So this year they switch. Fort Lee hosts. Mike Gerst in his second year as head coach of the Fort Lee football team. They are 2-0 this year. He is 9-3 as head coach, looking to get into double-digit victories. That will not help. Might be an infraction on Colin Suh. And indeed, they are going to get Zuh for, or rather, that's Colin Z, I should say. They are going to get him for an infraction. That'll be a 5-yard penalty, and it'll lead to an Indian Hills first down.
Indian Hills to the 38-yard line after the penalty.
So a fresh set of downs, and it's going to be another carry for Indian Hills. Their offense does rely on the running game. Strong tackle right there by number 21, C.J. Senator. My goodness. Wrapped up his counterpart on Indian Hills, also number 21, Matthew Phillips.
8-yard gain, 2nd and 2 at the 47-yard line.
So Phillips with 1 carry, DeMassey with 2. And it is going to be 2nd and 1 at the 47-yard line. Indian Hills' own 47-yard line. They pitch it back. Phillips again. Wrapped up again by Senator. Another strong tackle by the younger Senator brother. That's a loss of yardage.
That was a loss of 2 yards, making 3rd and 3.
3rd and 3 coming up.
3rd down.
Maybe 3rd and a long 2, we'll say. Matthew Kazmarchak in the first 3 games, 3 interceptions, no passing touchdowns, but he's run for a score. And then Indian Hills actually has 4 rushing touchdowns on the season, 1 each by Kazmarchak, running back Billy Pellegrini, Michael Snudden, and Aiden Trainer. On 3rd down, do they go back to the running game? They're not going to go to any game. Who falls on it? Fort Lee does. That's number 3, Jacob Greenberg on the fumble recovery.
Fumble recovery for Fort Lee. The Bridgemen take over.
It will stand. Fumble recovery by the linebacker Greenberg.
Bridgemen take over at Indian Hills 37-yard line, 1st and 10.
A turnover for Indian Hills, and Fort Lee will look to continue their extremely impressive early season work offensively. Not even halfway through this first quarter, the Bridgemen already up 7-0 and now back in Braves territory. De Hoyos in motion. Luke Senator goes that way. He's going to dump it off to his younger brother, who drops it. They're going to call it an incomplete pass. I thought he might have made a football move and then lost it when he got hit, but the referee disagreed. So an incomplete pass for Luke Senator, and it'll be 2nd and 10. CJ entered this one with a team-high 14 receptions, a team-high 199 receiving yards, and a team-high 5 receiving touchdowns. 7 total touchdowns on the year for CJ, rushing and receiving. 12 now for Luke Senator, passing and rushing. Luke Senator on 2nd and 10 as the pressure comes. Going for the home run ball again. Incomplete. Caleb Park got at least one hand on it, but he could not haul it in. Also good coverage on that one for Indian Hills. That was number 2, Aiden Trainer.
3rd and 10 from the
So now it'll be 3rd and 10 with 6:16 remaining in the first quarter. Luke Senator rolling to his right, telling his receiver to go deep, and that pass was too high for number 5, Matt Kim, to handle. That'll be 3 incomplete passes, 4th and 10, and Fort Lee will punt here and look to pin the Braves in deep. That is a win, though, for Indian Hills. A fumble, which leads to Fort Lee recovering in their territory, and they force a 3 and out. The Indian Hills defense had pretty good, playing 1 high school from New York and 2 from New Jersey. Only 48 points allowed in 3 games. That's only 16 per game. Pretty good recipe for victory. Fort Lee only scoring on 1 of their first 2 possessions. Punted by Luke Senator. And they will, in fact, pin Indian Hills in deep. Mason Collado, number 13, the freshman, on the tackle for Mike Gerst's squad. And so Indian Hills will begin their second offensive possession with 5:59 remaining here in the first quarter. Dan Morangi's squad went 3-3 in division last year. This year, 2-0 so far in division. So this is a battle for first place. Coming into this one, Fort Lee, Indian Hills, and also Demarest, all 2-0 on the year. Looking at the rest of the Ivy Red, Bergen Tech and Ridgefield Park are both 0-1 in division, and Fairlawn and Tenafly both come into this week 0-2. No longer sunglass weather as the sun has gone down, and it is a pitch back and a tackle for a loss. Strong work there by a Bridgeman who might be injured as a result of that play. An official timeout is called, as I believe that's number 59, Bobby Conti, who made a strong tackle for a loss and then went down after the play. 56, rather. That's Dylan Herrera. It'll be 2nd and long with 5:44 remaining for Indian Hills when we return. We want to take this opportunity to thank our proud Fort Lee Bridgeman Athletics sponsors. Please support the Athletes Booster Club sponsors for the 2025-26 school year if you can. The Fort Lee PBA, Cafaso's Fairway Market, The Finest Construction, the Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin and Doru Electric, the Bridgeman Basketball Camp, the Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me, Connect One Bank, the Bergen Black Sox, Senator Builders, and UCS Strength and Speed. Thank you once again to all of our proud sponsors. Thank you so much for tuning in here on a Friday night. Little after 7 p.m., the Fort Lee Bridgeman football team leading Indian Hills 7-0 as Dylan Herrera being escorted off the field. Not helped. He does make it off under his own power, so hopefully he's okay. Following a strong tackle for a loss by Herrera It's 2nd and 16 for Indian Hills at their own 15-yard line. They've relied on the running game so far. We'll see if they stick with it. They do. Kazmerchak with the handoff, and another strong tackle for a loss. CJ Senator, it's early, but he's been all over the place tonight.
Will bring up third down.
Might have been a short gain on that one. It's still going to be 3rd and long. And the Braves are deep in their own territory as well. A balanced rushing attack for Indian Hills. Coming into this one, I believe they had 4 players with double-digit carries. That includes the quarterback, Kazmerchak. He's going to throw here. Runner's in his face. He's going to take it himself. Crushed out of bounds by CJ Senator. A flag comes. I don't know if they're going to say a late hit or too hard of a hit by CJ Senator. Didn't look late to me, but Kazmerchak was definitely heading for the sidelines. It's going to be a 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, and I think that's going to just barely give Indian Hills a first down.
8-yard gain with the penalty. 1st and 10 for Indian Hills at the 37-yard line.
So Kazmerchak, technically speaking, with a first down run there. The Fort Lee defense has given Indian Hills more first downs than they've gotten themselves. They're going to have to change that eventually. Kazmerchak passing it off, and another hard tackle. That time it was Luke Senator taking down number 5. Make that number 6, Chase DeLeon.
4-yard completion to Chase DeLeon. Senator on the stop. 2nd and 6.
Coming into this one, DeLeon had 5 carries and 4 receptions, 82 yards from scrimmage on the season for DeLeon. On 2nd down, Kazmerchak back to pass. He rifles one over to a receiver. I believe that is DeLeon again.
Chase DeLeon again.
Josh DeHoyas, one of the Fort Lee linebackers, on the tackle there.
The 45-yard line. It's 3rd down.
And with about 3.5 minutes remaining here in the first quarter, it'll be 3rd down and 2. Indian Hills has it at their own 45-yard line. They still have yet to run a play in Fort Lee territory. They go right to Trainer, and he does not have the first down.
Carry, no gain.
Greenberg celebrates as 4th and 3 is coming up. And that's still 4th and 2. Going to be no gain for Trainer, and Indian Hills is going to go for it, or at the very least, try to draw Fort Lee offsides. They have 2 timeouts remaining in the first half. Obviously, you don't want to be too aggressive here and get the penalty, but I'm curious to see if Fort Lee sends the house. Tight formation. Looks like we might have a run play here. Going to be a scrum at the line of scrimmage. If there's a play run, there will not be a play run. Good discipline there by Mike Gerst's squad. So Dan Morangi and co. take a timeout. That is their 2nd of the first half. And with 2:19 remaining in the first quarter, they will kick it off, or punt rather, to Fort Lee.
Chicken tenders,
It's been a great start to the year for Fort Lee, but Mike Gerst definitely had some notes in 2 games for his defense. 2 big wins, but Fort Lee has allowed 62 points in their 2 games. For all you math wizards out there, that's 31 points per game. They're coming off a 50-40 victory. Definitely have some things to clean up defensively. A good stand there, and they will get rewarded with their 3rd offensive possession of the first quarter. That ball takes a friendly roll for Indian Hills, and so Luke Senator and the Bridgemen will take over for the 3rd time tonight, fairly deep in their own territory.
43-yard kick, no return. The Bridgemen will take over at the 12-yard line. 2:08 remaining in the first quarter.
Luke Senator with his 9th passing touchdown of the year. It went to Azel Orta. That was his first receiving touchdown of the season. And the Bridgemen lead this one 7-0. Since then, we've seen some exciting but kind of sloppy play under the Friday night lights. And the Bridgemen will look to extend their lead here in the first quarter. Looking to start the season 3-0 against 3 division rivals. This is the home opener for Fort Lee. Luke Senator fakes a handoff, and as he goes to pass, a whistle is blown. So I would imagine that'll go against Fort Lee. They get Dylan Herrera, who is back in the game, so he appears to be no worse for wear. That's great to see. Not great to see him committing a penalty. It'll be 5 yards, and so 1st and 15 coming up for Fort Lee. With CJ Senator in motion, Luke Senator gets it and throws the other way. Ball could not be handled by Orta.
Incomplete to Orta, 2nd and 15 from the 7-yard.
So an incomplete pass for Luke Senator. That'll bring up 2nd and 15 at the Fort Lee 5. Senator has De Hoyos with him. He'll hand it off to Josh De Hoyos. And that's going to be a short gain.
A group of Braves on the tackle.
Third and long coming up for the Bridgemen. Luke Senator back to pass. Comes under pressure, and he's not going to be able to get out of it. That's a safety. Luke Senator went down in the end zone. Matt Phillips, number 21, and others celebrate as Indian Hills gets on the board by way of safety. That'll make it 7-2 with 1:25 remaining in the first quarter. So a huge momentum swing, plus they obviously get on the board. Now Indian Hills will receive. Let's see if their offense can get going. So far, both teams have really been as advertised. Indian Hills is led by their defense. Fort Lee led by their offense. That's the way it's been tonight. But on their last 2 possessions, a 3 and out, and then a safety for Fort Lee. Now Alteo Tabaku will kick off to the Braves. Just 1 timeout remaining, but 1:25 to go in the first quarter. On a hop, it'll be handled by Chase DeLeon, and he will get to about the 35-yard line before getting taken down by Mason Collado. Impressive game so far for the freshman, Collado. So Indian Hills takes over at their own 35-yard line. They've turned the ball over once. They have not run a play in Fort Lee territory. And yet they only trail by 5, 7-2. Kazmerchak rolling to his right, passing to Ferrari. Number 5, J.D. Ferrari with a first down reception. And the Indian Hills Braves move the chains.
13-yard gain, 1st and 10 for Indian Hills at the 48-yard line.
With a fresh set of downs, the Braves will be at their own 48-yard line. Last minute of play now in the first quarter. It's been an exciting one, if sloppy. Kazmerchak puts De Leon in motion and then fakes a handoff to him, taking it himself. Kazmerchak gets into Fort Lee territory before getting knocked out of bounds by a Bridgeman.
Herrera on the stop. 6-yard gain.
Going to give the tackle to Herrera. And Indian Hills should have time to run at least one more play here. This will be the first play that Indian Hills runs in Fort Lee territory. They have it at the Fort Lee 45. And as Kazmerchak gets the play and comes back on the field, we have 2nd and 3 coming up. High snap, Kazmerchak handles it, fires immediately, broken tackle, first down Indian Hills. I believe that was De Leon making the catch and then getting plenty of yards after catch.
Gain of 10 on the play. 1st and 10 for Indian Hills at the 35-yard line.
This is the best that Indian Hills has moved the ball all night so far. And it'll be 1st and 10 at the Fort Lee 35. Dan Morangi's squad has time to run one more play here in the first quarter. Although they might not. They will not. So an exciting first quarter comes to a close. 7-2 Fort Lee on the Luke Senator to Azel Orta touchdown, and then a safety. 12 minutes down, 36 to go. I will step aside ever so briefly. Second quarter action about to begin. The field has flipped. 1st and 10 for the Braves. Little spin move by Kazmerchak. A wild heave, and it's intercepted. Interception for Fort Lee. They take over. 2nd turnover of the night for Indian Hills. For Kazmerchak, that is his 4th interception of the season. So the Bridgemen will take over just 13 seconds into the second quarter, following a second turnover by Indian Hills. So the interception by number 6 for the Bridgemen. Now Luke Senator and company will take over at their own 30-yard line. Luke Senator hands it off to his younger brother, CJ Senator, who gets a decent chunk of yardage. It'll be 2nd and 6 coming up for the Bridgemen.
Brought down by Dylan De Niro. 4-yard gain, 2nd and 6.
CJ Senator in motion. Luke Senator fakes the handoff. He's going to take it himself, and he will get crunched by a couple Braves, including number 55. That's Colin Mitchell.
Colin Mitchell on the stop. 3rd and 5 at the 35-yard line.
A gain of 1 for the elder Senator brother. 3rd and 5 coming up. After the first turnover, Fort Lee went 3 and out. Now it's 3rd and 5 after an interception flipped the field. Luke Senator has De Hoyos in the backfield. He's going to fake a handoff and rifle one over to Greenberg. Did he make the grab? He did. First down, Bridgeman.
First and 10 for the Bridgemen at the 43. Tackled by Patrick Ribbon.
So Greenberg with the first down reception. Fresh set of downs for Fort Lee at their own 43-yard line. Senator fakes the handoff to De Hoyos. He takes it himself. He has a first down, and he slides in Indian Hills territory. A double-digit yard gain for Luke Senator. 1st and 10 Fort Lee at the Indian Hills 45-yard line. Going to be CJ Senator in the backfield. De Hoyos will be a receiver on this play. Luke Senator goes around his brother, breaks a tackle, and is close to the first down if he doesn't have it. Mentioned that Luke Senator and CJ Senator can both beat you multiple ways. Luke entered this one with 404 passing yards in just 2 games, but also 218 rushing yards, averaging over 200 passing yards and over 100 rushing yards per game. He got the first down on that one. As the referees converse amongst themselves, we want to thank our proud Fort Lee Bridgeman athletic sponsors, the Fort Lee PBA, Cafaso's Fairway Market, The Finest Construction, the Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin and Doru Electric, the Bridgeman Basketball Camp, the Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me, Connect One Bank, the Bergen Black Sox, Senator Builders, and UCS Strength and Speed. Thank you so much to the Fort Lee Athletic Booster Club sponsors of the 2025-26 school year. Thank you for tuning in on a Friday night. A timeout has been called with 9:47 remaining in the second quarter. That's Fort Lee's first of the half. They have 2 remaining. Indian Hills has 1 remaining. And when we take back over, it'll be 1st and 10 for Fort Lee at the Indian Hills 35 as the Bridgemen lead this one 7-2. It's a battle for first place in the Super Football Conference Ivy Red Division. A couple 2-0 teams going at it. Demarest, as well as these 2 teams, Fort Lee and Indian Hills, 2-0 on the year. Indian Hills 2-1 overall on the season, looking to extend their 3-game winning streak, or extend their streak to 3 games. Fort Lee has started the season with a couple divisional wins, looking to make it 3 in a row. On 1st and 10, Luke Senator taking it himself. Good block by Josh DeHoyas. It's going to wind up being a pretty short carry for the Bridgeman quarterback. Number 77 for Indian Hills, Ryan Morrison, on the tackle. 2nd and 7 after Luke Senator's 3-yard run. He and his brother CJ both looking over to the sideline as Mike Gerst calls out the play. Gerst looking for his 10th win as head coach of the Fort Lee Football Club. Luke Senator looks towards his brother. He's taking it himself. He has the first down. Up the middle, Luke Senator being spun around and into the end zone for the touchdown. The Fort Lee senior quarterback would not be denied on that one. He has a passing touchdown. Now he has a rushing touchdown. 13-2 Fort Lee. .8:59 remaining in the second quarter. Fort Lee will look to add the extra point. Number 10, Dante Severino to hold. Number 84, Alteo Tabaku has his kick blocked. Extra point, no good, as the kick was blocked, I believe, by number 3, Kevin Perron. So he celebrates. That does somewhat damper the mood. But a rushing touchdown for Luke Senator. That's his 4th of the year, and it's 13-2 Bridgeman. So a couple touchdowns of more than 30 yards for the Bridgemen. Luke Severino aired it out, or Luke Senator rather, aired it out to Azel Orta in the first quarter. Then Luke Senator runs for a touchdown. Tabaku, after missing the extra point, or rather having it blocked, same difference, kicks it off, and handling it for Indian Hills is number 33, Jaden Rivera. Good return for Jaden Rivera, and Indian Hills will take over, down by 11. And they'll take over at their own 30. So let's see if Matt Kazmerchak and company can go about 70 yards. They will receive the second half kickoff. But Fort Lee looks like they've found their groove again offensively, and Indian Hills is going to have to score eventually. They're going to go with a run there. Tackle made jointly by Jacob Greenberg and Colin Z.
Tackle by Greenberg. 4-yard gain, 2nd and 6 from the 35-yard line.
That was a 4-yard run, so it's going to be 2nd and a short 6 for Indian Hills. Kazmerchak calls out the play. Back to pass. Kazmerchak, that was closer to Orta than it was to his intended target, Brendan Godfrey. So following Kazmerchak's incomplete pass, it'll be 3rd and 6 with 8:05 remaining in the half. If Fort Lee can force the quick 3 and out here, they would have plenty of time to look to add a 3rd score and really step on the Braves' throats. Kazmerchak back to pass again, looking to his left. He sends one over, I believe that's number 16, Jack Burrer, and he has the first down grab.
down, Indian Hills at the 48-yard line. It's completed
First down for Indian Hills at their own 48-yard line. Kazmerchak does handle the high snap. He does also get the handoff off. That was not a pretty play for the Braves, but it is a positive play. It's a 2-yard run.
Second and 8 from midfield.
Number 9, Griffin DeMasi on the run there, and it'll bring up 2nd and 8 from midfield. Still more than 7 minutes to play. Kazmerchak with another handoff, and DeMasi gets crunched by C.J. Senator.
C.J. Senator on the stop. Jacob Greenberg on the stop. Third and 3 from the 46-yard line of Bridgeman.
That was a 4-yard run. Let's call it 3rd and a short 4 for Indian Hills. Very important that they get the next score as they trail by 11. Still more than 6 minutes to play. In the first half, they also have 1 timeout, but that's not going to help. Number 54, Braddock DeMasi on the offensive line was very overeager on that play. They're going to bang Braddock DeMasi for a false start, and it's now going to be 3rd and a short 9. Indian Hills will run this play from their own 49-yard line. They need to get to the Fort Lee 42. Kazmerchak trying to avoid the pressure. He's going to have to take it himself. Oh, no, he's not. He did throw that one out of bounds to no one in particular. No flag was thrown on that play, not for some extracurriculars between a Bridgeman and a Brave away from the ball or for Kazmerchak. They did not get him on an intentional grounding or anything like that. It's just an incomplete pass, and Indian Hills will punt on 4th and 9. Another whistle. I think that's going to be encroachment against Fort Lee, but it will still be 4th down for Indian Hills. It was 4th and 9, so that should make it 4th and 4. Does that change the calculation for the Braves?
4th and 4 from the 46-yard line of the Bridgeman.
No, it looks like it does not. They're still going to punt. C.J. Senator back to receive, but a timeout is called. So on 4th and 4, Dan Morangi calls the timeout. Be curious to see if he draws up a trick play here. Again, the Braves will get the second half kickoff, but there's plenty of time for Fort Lee to score again, and the Bridgemen already have an 11-point lead. They also, frankly, appear to have the more dynamic offense. In their 2 wins, Indian Hills shut out Tenafly at Tenafly, and then they beat Fairlawn at home last week, exactly 1 week ago, 27-21. Fort Lee has put up 40 and 50 points in their first 2 games of the year, both wins. It looks like Dan Morangi did draw up a play here on 4th and 4. They fake the handoff. Kazmerchak throwing on the run, tipped by Jacob Greenberg. Fantastic play by Greenberg. Pass broken up on 4th down, and it'll be not the 3rd turnover, but a turnover on downs for Indian Hills.
5
And still plenty of time for Mike Gerst's squad, especially this offense. 5:50 remaining. The Bridgemen take over at their own 46-yard line. Luke Senator has a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown tonight. His younger brother CJ has been all over the field, and Azel Orta has a receiving touchdown. The first of the year for the senior wide receiver. Right now, Senator has his younger brother CJ in the backfield with him. Thinks for a moment, takes it himself, and Luke Senator will basically just get back to the line of scrimmage. Tackled by, I think, a couple Braves there, including number 21, Matthew Phillips. On 2nd and 10, Luke Senator slows things down a little bit here. He has De Hoyos in the backfield, and then Greenberg, Kim, CJ Senator, and I believe Caleb Park as eligible receivers. CJ Senator in motion. Luke Senator rolling to his right, stops, trying to avoid defenders, and he throws at the feet of CJ Senator.
Intended for CJ Senator, incomplete. 3rd and 10 at the 40.
Incomplete pass to CJ Senator as number 12, Brendan Godfrey, and number 1, Michael Snudden were in the area for Indian Hills.
Along with Brendan Godfrey. 3rd and 10 for the
3rd and 10 coming up, and now there's time for Indian Hills to potentially have an interesting possession here in the first half. If they can force Fort Lee to punt. Luke Senator with good protection. That didn't last.
Senator.
Taken down by number 21, Matthew Phillips, and number 60, Val Murillo. They might both get half sacks for that one. It's a loss of yards for the Bridgemen. That would have been a great opportunity to really take control of this game. Instead, they'll punt. And with well over 4 minutes to go, even with no timeouts, Dan Morangi's squad has plenty of time to get on the board here before the end of the first half. And then don't forget, they'll get the second half kickoff. They won the coin toss and deferred. Not a great snap. Luke Senator handles it, gets the punt off. That was a really good play by the Fort Lee senior.
31-yard kick, no return. Indian Hills will take over at the 31-yard line.
Johnny McCann downs it, and Indian Hills will take over at their own 33.
Cash always. Make sure you bring cash if you go to the concession stand for chicken tenders, hot dogs, fresh popcorn, and much, much more.
So Indian Hills does get another opportunity here in the first half. They trail by 11. They have not really been able to get much going at all offensively. Their only score of the night was a safety. Going to look to make it a one-score game before they receive the second half kickoff. That's Snudden passing it to Griffin DeMassey.
Trainer incomplete to the Massey. 2nd and 10
He was unable to hold on, so it's an incomplete pass.
from 31.
So Kazmerchak was in there at QB for most of the first half. Dan Morangi has made a change. I believe now it's number 2, Aiden Trainer, who will be handling the snaps. Very high snap, takes it himself, weaving through traffic, bumps off of Greenberg, and finally tripped up by Orta. Also in the area was number 52, Angel Alvarez Ruano. Trainer has been the backup quarterback for Dan Morangi. He also has one rushing touchdown on the season. That's as a runner, not as a quarterback. Now it's 3rd and 2. Trainer calls out the play. Herrera avoids going off sides. Very high snap. Trainer just has to fall on it. Matt Kim was right there to scoop it up or crush Trainer if he tried to advance it. So he just falls on it, and Indian Hills will punt. Mike Gerst takes his second timeout of the first half. Fort Lee will have 1 timeout and 2:50 remaining as they try once again to take firm hold of this game. This has not been the most crisp football game that I or likely you have ever seen, but it has been exciting. Fort Lee leads 13-2. Quarterback Luke Senator with 1 passing touchdown and 1 rushing touchdown. Wide receiver Azel Orta with a receiving touchdown. And kicker Alteo Tabaku is 1 out of 2 in extra point attempts. Orta is back to receive the punt from Indian Hills. An opportunity for Fort Lee to potentially have really good field position here. That's a good kick, though. It will not roll much at all, but it is a favorable roll for Indian Hills. It will be downed by Kevin Perron at the 25-yard line. That was a solid kick for number 14, Jonah Diaz, with no return. 2:28 remaining for Fort Lee. They will look to expand upon their 11-point lead. They need to go 75 yards with 1 timeout and 2:28 remaining. Of course, a field goal is also an option. Luke Senator with the handoff to his brother. Running right up the gut of CJ Senator. Now he cuts. Only 1 man to beat. And eventually dragged down by number 8, Patrick Gribben. A long run for CJ Senator. There is a flag. And let's see what this is about. It's going to be a holding penalty going against Fort Lee. That will erase a fantastic run by CJ Senator. The younger Senator brother came into this one, rushing and receiving, with 458 yards from scrimmage. 2 rushing touchdowns, 5 receiving touchdowns. That would have really looked nice on the stat line. Instead,
1st and 2 for the Bridgemen for the 33-yard line.
They're going to redo first down. Yes, they're going to redo first down. On what they're calling 1st and 2, it's a handoff that doesn't really go anywhere. Matthew Phillips and at least 1 other Brave really kind of blew that play up. Not really anywhere for De Hoyos to go on that one. That'll bring up 2nd down, still 2nd and short with under 2 minutes to play in the half. Luke Senator fakes the handoff. He has Caleb Park, who has a 1st down. Staying in bounds and gaining extra yards is Caleb Park, and he'll finally get tackled by Gribben, I think, at the 50. Right at the 50, and he went out of bounds with 1:28 remaining in the half. Not at the 50, at the 49. So Fort Lee in their own territory. They fake the handoff to De Hoyos. It's a catch for CJ Senator, and he is eventually tackled by multiple Braves, including J.D. Ferrari and Phillips. Referee picks up his flag. That was an accident. They also make mistakes as well as the players. Luke Senator fakes the pitch back. Avoids a hit. He's going deep. He's got Caleb Park. And the pass was a little short. 49.3 seconds remaining in the first half. It will be 3rd and 5 for Fort Lee at the Indian Hills 46. Dan Morangi might send the house here on 3rd and 6. Third and 5 make that. Luke Senator takes it himself. Luke Senator has the first down. A flag is thrown. They are probably going to get Matt Kim for a block in the back. Mike Gerst was not happy about it, but that is exactly what they get Matt Kim for. Block in the back erases Luke Senator's first down run.
3rd and 7 for the 49-yard line.
So that'll make it 3rd and 7 from the Indian Hills 49 with just under 43 seconds to go in the half. Luke Senator trying to go deep, runs out of time. Taken down by Gribben and Val Murillo. Phillips, of course, was also in the area, and that'll bring up 4th down. I think we're going to go to the half with Fort Lee leading this one 13-2. Indian Hills cannot stop the clock. So it looks like Mike Gerst is just going to run it out. Once again, Mike Gerst is definitely going to have some notes, but ultimately Fort Lee has largely been in control of this game. After 24 minutes of action under the Friday night lights, they lead Indian Hills 13-2. I will step aside. Don't go anywhere, though. An exciting second half is in store. Second half action about to begin. I'm Tommy Aquilina, welcoming you back. Hopefully you didn't go anywhere. To the Dr. Allen W. Sugarman Sports Complex. We are just about set to begin the second half. Underneath the Friday night lights, Mike Gerst's Fort Lee Bridgemen, in their home opener, lead Indian Hills 13-2. Fort Lee not storming up and down the field as they were able to in their first two games of the year when they averaged 45 points per game, but still the advantage here, and the Indian Hills offense hasn't really been able to get much going. We'll see if Aiden Trainer remains under center as the Braves receive the second half kickoff. He replaced Matt Kazmerchak in the first half.
Rivera, 18-yard return to the 35-yard line.
Jaden Rivera, or rather, not 33, 23, Hudson Fox with the return there. So after the return, Fort Lee, or rather Indian Hills, will start things off at their own 35-yard line as they look to cut into this 11-point deficit. Kazmerchak, back as the quarterback. He passes it to Chase DeLeon, and Chase DeLeon has a first down.
First down, 12-yard reception.
That's a pickup of 12 on 1st and 10, so Indian Hills will get a fresh set of downs at their own 47-yard line. Kazmerchak threw an interception in the first half, now has 0 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and 4 interceptions on the season. DeLeon, an eligible receiver again. In the backfield was number 9, Griffin DeMassey. He carries it into Fort Lee territory, a place Indian Hills has not been very often. Their only score in the first half came on a safety. That made it 7-2. Their offense was really unable to get anything going. They also had 2 turnovers. And yet Fort Lee was only able to put 13 points on the board. Luke Senator with a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown. Now on 2nd and 5 from the 49.5. Another handoff. Once again, it was DeMassey.
Sebastian on the carry, 3-yard gain. CJ Senator on 2-yard gain. CJ Senator on the stop. It's 3rd and 3 for the Bridgeman 47.
3rd and about 2.5 here coming up for Indian Hills. Obviously, receiving the second half kickoff, you definitely want to make something happen here. It would be a huge win if Fort Lee and their dynamic offense were able to get the ball back, still maintaining this 11-point lead. Kazmerchak, back to pass. Bunch of players around him. He gets out of it. Pass is high, but it is caught. First down as number 6 for Fort Lee made the tackle. And that pass was hauled in, I believe, by number 16, Jack Burrer, for the Braves.
Tackle by number 6 for 1st and 10. Indian Hills, the Bridgeman 41.
Just over 2 minutes gone by here in the third quarter. Fresh set of downs for Indian Hills at the Fort Lee 41-yard line. No points in the first half for the Indian Hills offense. They scored 27 points in each of their 2 most recent games, both victories. DeMassey in motion. Kazmerchak fakes the handoff, somehow avoids the sack, somehow avoids another sack, still on his feet, throwing on the run, out of bounds, but that was maybe the most impressive incomplete pass of the season for Matt Kazmarchak. Multiple Bridgemen had multiple shots at him, including number 55, Cyrus Wilkins. That'll freeze the clock with 9:01 remaining, now 2nd and 10 for Indian Hills. Kazmarchak throws immediately. And Kevin Perron is immediately taken down by Jacob Greenberg. So an incomplete pass and then a completed pass for 0 yards. 3rd and 10 coming up. It's early in the 3rd quarter, and it's only a 2-score game, but this is a gigantic play for both of these teams. Kazmarchak back to pass. Cyrus Wilkins in his face again. Kazmarchak throwing on the run. Falls incomplete. CJ Senator was in the area, and he's probably going to get credit for the pass defended.
Intended for Chase Dealer on 4th down and 10. 41-yard line at the Bridgeman.
So Indian Hills deferred. They held Fort Lee to 13 points in the first half, and yet they do not score on their opening possession in the 3rd quarter. They will give it back to the Bridgemen, trailing by 11. CJ Senator back to receive with his older brother protecting him. CJ Senator trying to kind of sideswipe the defender, and he was unable to. I believe Jonah Diaz will get credit for a tackle there, and Fort Lee will take over, but they will be deep in their own territory. So a little more than 4 minutes come off the clock. Indian Hills does not score. Little too early to start thinking about milking the clock for Fort Lee, but once again, they're going to try to take that dominant 3-score lead. CJ Senator in the backfield, and a flag is thrown. Someone on one of the lines jumped early. Someone on Fort Lee. False start will back Fort Lee up to their own 6-yard line. It'll be 1st and 15. A handoff to the younger Senator brother. It's going to be a short gain. Obviously, being backed up so close to your end zone, you want to be careful if you're the Bridgeman. Indian Hills' only score of the night came on a safety as Luke Senator was sacked in the end zone. A gain of 3 on that run for CJ Senator, so it's 2nd and 12 for the Bridgemen. They go back to the younger Senator. Both teams trying to push the pile as much as they can in either direction. It's going to be a short gain. Indian Hills wanted a turnover. They're not going to get it. Third and 7 from 21. 5 yards on that run for CJ Senator, so 3rd and 7 coming up. He's now in the backfield with his older brother, and Luke Senator gets Indian Hills to go off sides. The hard count got him, and it'll be 3rd and 2. So the veteran play by Luke Senator. He now converses briefly with his head coach. Obviously, big difference between 3rd and 7 inside your own 15 and 3rd and 2. So let's see what the Bridgemen come up with here. Many weapons. 4 receiver set. De Hoyos in motion. Luke Senator is going to take it himself, and he's got that first down. Fort Lee moves the chains.
Brought down by Liam Taylor. That's a first down. First and 10 for the Bridgemen.
So 2 carries for CJ Senator, 1 for Luke Senator, and the 1st and 15 is erased. First down, Fort Lee. Now Luke Senator gets it to Azel Orta. Orta
Senator to order complete.
taken out of bounds by Trainer.
Brought down by Trainer. Second and 1 at the 31-yard line. 9-yard gain.
That's a 9-yard reception for Azel Orta. Multiple catches for him tonight, including his first touchdown as a high school senior. Now it's 2nd and 1. Luke Senator is going to take it himself. Little bit of hesitation, and he is eventually taken down by multiple Braves right around the 40-yard line.
Bridgeman. That's the first down. Liam Taylor on the stop. First down.
Trainer and Liam Deller, number 4, were in on that tackle for Indian Hills. Fort Lee starting to move with a little bit of pace now. Another hard count, doesn't work that time. They fake the handoff. Luke Senator wants to go deep. He wants Azel Orta again, and that was out of the reach of Orta.
J.D. Ferry on the coverage will make it 2nd and 10 from the 40-yard line.
Second and 10 coming up at the Fort Lee 40 with 4:57 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Luke Senator looks towards De Hoyos. He's going to go to his brother instead. CJ Senator getting blocks. CJ Senator breaking a tackle, pushed out of bounds by Michael Snudden, but a first down and into Indian Hills territory.
20-yard gain. First and 10 from Indian Hills 39 for the Bridgemen.
De Hoyos came off. He will stay on the field for this snap. Luke Senator fakes the pitch back. He's going to run it up the gut himself. Still on his feet. Inside the 30-yard line is Luke Senator. "13 total touchdowns on the year for Luke Senator, including tonight. 9 of the passing variety, 4 of the running variety. Gets it to the Indian Hills 25. Jacob Greenberg had a hand on it, and then he got crunched, so that'll be an incomplete pass. That won't go as a tackle by DeMassey, so a good pass breakup, let's say. That stops the clock with 4:13 remaining in the 3rd quarter, and it's 2nd and 10 for Fort Lee. Senator to Orta. Makes a move, and it takes multiple Braves to drag him down, but Orta is inside the 20.
First down, Bridgeman. 11-yard gain. First and 10 at the 18-yard line.
The referees might be talking here about what down it is. The chain gang is showing 3rd down. Fort Lee is inside the red zone. Direct snap to CJ Senator. He doesn't need much, but I don't think he got it. He loses his helmet. No flag is thrown. And he did not get the 1st down. CJ Senator has to come off for a play with his helmet coming off. Josh DeHoyas will stay on. Mike Gerst is going to go for it. Luke Senator tried the hard count. The Bridgemen don't even need 2 yards. They go for it on 4th down. Luke Senator has the 1st down. Deller and another Brave take Luke Senator down. A little bit of a gamble there by Mike Gerst, but it pays off for him. And with under 3 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter, Fort Lee is ready to grab the Braves by the jugular. But Mike Gerst wants to talk it over with his squad, so he takes his first time out of the 2nd half. 1st and 10 for Fort Lee. They can get a 1st down without scoring. This will also give us an opportunity to thank and ask you to support our proud Fort Lee Athletic Booster Club sponsors for the 2025-26 school year. The Fort Lee PBA, Cafaso's Fairway Market, The Finest Construction, the Fort Lee Soccer Club, Rusin and Doru Electric, the Bridgeman Basketball Camp, the Fort Lee VFW, Visions Federal Credit Union, It's Greek to Me, Connect One Bank, the Bergen Black Sox, Senator Builders, and UCS Strength and Speed. Thank you to the Fort Lee Athletic sponsors. Thank you to the viewers who make this all possible. The Bridgemen lead Indian Hills 13-2 late in the 3rd quarter. They are trying to make it a 3-score game. 1st and 10 at the 11. Direct snap to CJ Senator. Deller gets to him behind the line of scrimmage. Nice play there by Indian Hills. It's a loss of 2. So 2nd and 13 coming up for the Bridgemen, or 2nd and 12 rather, from the 13-yard line. Luke Senator back in there now. DeHoyas in the backfield with him. Luke Senator, low throw, off the hands of Orta and intercepted. A very unfortunate bounce for Fort Lee. Liam Deller comes away with the pick. Huge momentum shift as Indian Hills keeps themselves in this one. Deller with the interception. It was a low throw that Orta was able to get his hands on, but it popped off of his body, and Deller was there. That was a huge play for Indian Hills. They take over with 1:54 remaining in the 3rd quarter at their own 39-yard line. Quite a bit different from being down 3 scores. Kazmarchak can't handle the high snap, and he'll just fall on it. Nowhere for him to go as Cyrus Wilkins and Aiden Suh were right there, blowing up the offensive line of Indian Hills. Not the first time we've seen a bad snap for the Braves. That's a loss of 7. 2nd and 17 from their own 32 coming up. They really have not been able to get much going offensively all night, but their defense, some Fort Lee mistakes, and the safety they got are keeping Indian Hills in this one. From under center, Kazmarchak takes it, stops, gets wrapped up. Cyrus Wilkins with the sack. Third and extremely long coming up.
On the tackle for the Bridgemen. Make it 3rd and 24 for the 25-yard line.
That's another loss of 7. So that's a tackle for a loss and a sack for Wilkins. Under a minute to go in the third quarter. Neither team has scored here in the third, although weirdly, to me at least, it feels like the pace has been a little bit better here in the third quarter than it was in the first half. Luke Senator with 8 passing touchdowns on the year. Coming into this one, he now has 9 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions, including one tonight. A timeout is taken. I don't know why Indian Hills would let so much time run off the clock if they were just going to take a timeout anyway, but that's how Dan Morangi decides to play things. So with 11.7 seconds remaining in the third quarter, Indian Hills burns their first timeout. So to set the stage for you, 11.7 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Neither team has scored, so Fort Lee is hanging on to that 13-2 lead. 3rd and 24 is coming up for Indian Hills. The interception was big. It obviously kept Fort Lee from scoring, but eventually Indian Hills is going to have to put some points on the board to get back in this one. Kazmerchak, back to pass. Steps up, steps into the pressure, and is taken down for the sack. Aiden Suh gets the sack. 1 for Wilkins, 1 for Suh on that possession, and while Fort Lee does turn it over, their defense basically makes it null and void. Aiden Suh's sack is how the third quarter ends. No points put on the board, so Fort Lee will carry their 11-point advantage into the fourth quarter here at the Sugarman Sport Complex. They're in the process of flipping the field. Indian Hills averaging 18 points per game in the first 3 games of the year. They have 2 tonight. Their defense has held Fort Lee in check for all the weapons Mike Gerst has at his disposal. 13 points for Fort Lee, but their defense has been just suffocating. And then they've also benefited from some mistakes by the Braves. Now Indian Hills will punt to open this fourth quarter. That one was almost blocked by Isaiah Gibbons. Orta on the return.
50-yard kick, 7-yard return by
Orta is eventually forced down by J.D. Ferrari and Val Murillo. 11:51 to go in the fourth quarter, and for Fort Lee, you want to probably equal parts waste the clock here and, of course, try to score. At this point, if Fort Lee extends the lead at all, that would probably be curtains on Indian Hills. Fort Lee will have it at their own 38-yard line. Fort Lee opened the season with a dominant 40-22 win at Fairlawn. Then on September 11th, 8 days ago, a 50-40 shootout win at Ridgefield Park. Tonight, it has been much more of a defensive battle. Both teams with multiple turnovers, both teams with some penalties at inopportune times. But two gigantic plays for Fort Lee. The home run ball touchdown from Luke Senator to Azel Orta, and the long rushing score by Luke Senator has Mike Gerst's squad on top. Gerst looking to improve to 10-3 since taking over as head coach of the Fort Lee football team. The Bridgemen set up for their first offensive possession of the fourth quarter. Luke Senator pitches it back to CJ, and the pile gets pushed to, they're going to say, the 46. Second and 3 coming up for the Bridgemen. You might not see them pass except for on third down on this possession. Here it's a conventional handoff to CJ Senator, who is finally dragged down at the Indian Hills 40. That's a gain of 14. The chains move. Matt Kim comes off. Josh DeHoyas back on the field. Fort Lee certainly not in a rush, but Mike Gerst would definitely like to see more offense than he has so far tonight, especially after the first two games. Fort Lee preparing for the rush. Luke Senator does hand it off to CJ. CJ gets around the edge, now cuts back. CJ Senator inside the 25-yard line. Finally taken down from behind by a Brave. And that run is going to be erased. The referees get DeHoyas for a holding penalty, so take those yards and that carry away from CJ Senator. Fort Lee will be backed up. Backed up to their own 47, or rather the Indian Hills 47. So it's a 5-yard penalty. Does Mike Gerst continue to run it? Yes, he does. Luke Senator takes it himself, but goes nowhere. A trio of Braves force him down, including number 55, Colin Mitchell. That was a loss of 3 for Fort Lee. They're now back to midfield. Under 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. We have a whistle. I don't know what for. On second and very long, Luke Senator is back to pass, comes under pressure, dumps it off to CJ, and CJ Senator is dragged down from behind by Val Murillo. So Fort Lee is back in Indian Hills territory, but third and quite long is coming up. Let's call it third and 15 from the Indian Hills 45. Both teams trying to get set. Now it looks like they know what they want to do. Senator on 3rd and long, steps out of the pressure, goes deep, gets crushed. Azel Orta cannot make the play. He does prevent that pass from being intercepted, though. No flag on that play as Patrick Gribben with a very hard hit on Senator as he threw. He was looking to make another long-distance connection with Azel Orta, but was unable to. So Fort Lee is forced to punt. They do burn a decent amount of time off the clock. 8:38 remaining, and with the way the Indian Hills offense has been moving, I don't know if that's going to be enough time for them to put up the points necessary to make this comeback. Luke Senator gets the punt off. Ball takes a very friendly roll and then kind of comes back. Mason Collado got out of the way of it, and it's eventually downed inside the 20-yard line. 10 seconds come off the clock, so Indian Hills will have 8:28 to work with. They still have 2 timeouts, but this is a 2-score game. Neither team has scored here in the second half. And right now, the Fort Lee defense is pitching a shutout. Again, the only score for Indian Hills came on a safety as Luke Senator was tackled in the end zone. Here, Senator is out there defensively. It's a handoff to start this drive for Indian Hills, and a good start to the drive. It's a first down carry. Billy Pellegrini, who surprisingly we have not called the name of very often tonight, with the first down carry. Coming into this one, Pellegrini was tied for the team lead with 17 carries and 1 rushing touchdown. He led the team with 141 rushing yards. So a fresh set of downs for the Braves. They're going to go to Pellegrini again, and why not? Pellegrini rushes for 9 and gets out of bounds. They're going to say he ran for exactly 10 yards. So a second straight first down run for the freshman, Billy Pellegrini. Still more than 8 minutes remaining in this one. Indian Hills from their own 42. Why not? They try it a third time. Pellegrini patiently waits. His line didn't give him much to work with there, and that was a much shorter carry. De Hoyos on the tackle. That was a 2-yard run for Pellegrini. The Indian Hills offense does run through their running game, but eventually they're going to have to either break off a gigantic run or get some yards through the air. They're going to try to do just that. Pass is caught by Ferrari. Tackle is made by Greenberg, and that'll bring up third down.
Bring up 3rd and 6 for the 47-yard line. 3rd and 5.
That was also a 2-yard gain. Not exactly the kind of air assault I was envisioning a second ago. Third and 5.5 for the Indian Hills Braves. I mean, you have to figure it's 4-down territory here. There's less than 7 minutes to go, and they're down 2 scores. Kazmarchak to pass. He's trying to go deep. Throws on the run. Was it caught? I think it was caught. Kevin Perron did hold on to it, but he was out of bounds. Unable to get the feet down before getting taken out of bounds. So this is Not necessarily, but it certainly feels like the whole ball game right here on 4th and 5. They've actually, I think, moved the ball up half a yard. So 4th and 5 from their own 48. Under 7 minutes to go. Make it or break it time for Indian Hills. Kazmerchak fires one, and this time Perron makes the grab in bounds. So that gets Indian Hills to the Fort Lee 42. It also stops the clock with 6:37 remaining. Perron came into this one with 2 catches on the year for 22 yards, according to NJ.com. Now from their opponent's 42, Kazmerchak handles the high snap, gets the handoff off, and another good run for Billy Pellegrini.
4-yard gain.
Aiden Suh was on the stop. A different Bridgeman is down, and so we're going to have an official timeout here before this second down play. And actually, it was the same player.
Final last call for concessions. Final last call for concessions. Thank you.
So Aiden Suh getting looked at with 6:20 remaining. That was a 4-yard run for Pellegrini, officially speaking. So we have 2nd and 6 coming up. For Indian Hills, I guess this does benefit them in terms of stopping the clock, but they're going to have to start moving a little bit more quickly and efficiently if they want to have a chance in this one. Because remember, even if you score here, you have to either try an onside kick or you have to give the ball back to Fort Lee, then you have to get it back and try to score again. Aiden Suh will be helped off the field. And the rest of the Fort Lee defense will contend with Indian Hills on 2nd and 6.
2nd and 6 for Indian Hills at the Bridgeman 38. 6:20 remaining in the game.
Referees start the clock up again. Just over 6 minutes remaining in this one. Indian Hills does not have any offensive points tonight. They pitch it back to Pellegrini. Pellegrini trying to go around the outside, avoids the tackle from Greenberg. Pellegrini is pushed out of bounds by number 6. He has the first down, though. With exactly 6 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter, Indian Hills moves the chains again.
31. 7-yard gain.
Ball at the 31-yard line. Pellegrini in the backfield, and they're going to go to him again. Gets away from Orta and is eventually taken down by 2 Bridgemen, CJ Senator and Angel Alvarez Ruano. That was a gain of 1. Kazmerchak goes to the sideline, gets his play, and now they're going to go to a huddle as precious seconds tick off the clock. This is a battle for first place in the Ivy Red. These 2 teams came into this one as 2 of the 3 2-0 teams in their division. From under center, Kazmerchak. He fakes the pitch. Now he goes deep for the touchdown. No, they're going to say the catch was made out of bounds. So they are going to give him the catch. They're going to say he made the catch inbounds, then went out of bounds before reaching the end zone. So that freezes the clock with 5:05. Still 3 more yards to go for Indian Hills. Longest pass play of the game for the Braves. Now Kazmerchak handling the high snap. That was not Kazmerchak, it was a direct snap. And a rushing touchdown.
Trainer for touchdown for Indian Hills, making the score 13-8.
So after the rushing touchdown, it's 13-8 Fort Lee with 4:57 remaining. I'd imagine you want to go for another touchdown as opposed to a field goal, so they will probably just take the 1 extra point here to make it a 4-point game. No kicker on the field. It looks like they're going to set up and go for 2, so that would make it a 3-point game, and then they would just need a field goal to tie. Kazmerchak is back on the field. Pellegrini sprints on. Or rather, that's DeMasi. Very high snap. Kazmerchak has his man, but he didn't reach the end zone. Azel Orta and Jacob Greenberg keep the receiver from getting into the end zone. So instead of going for 1 like I said they should have, they go for 2 and they get 0. 13-8 Fort Lee. So now if you're Indian Hills, you trail by 5. You do, in fact, need another touchdown. They finally have their first with just under 5 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Do you trust your defense enough and do you trust your offense enough to give the ball to Fort Lee, or do you try for the onside kick? It looks like they're going to go for the onside kick. Just in case Mike Gerst does send one of his players back to receive, but Fort Lee is expecting the onside kick. They do kick away. What a lucky bounce for Indian Hills. The ball does not reach the end zone, and so Fort Lee will take over deep in their own territory. Now, if you are able to get a 3 and out, or even if you give up 1 first down and you get the ball back, Indian Hills, hopefully for them, will have good field position. Of course, the Bridgemen can negate that with a long, sustained drive of their own. The clock is definitely their friend, and of course, if you score, that'll just about do it. So Luke Senator and company take over with 4:53 remaining. Looking for a home opening win. Josh DeHoyas in motion. Luke Senator takes this one himself. He's able to get to the outside. Did he stay in bounds? Yes, he did. But now the clock will stop for an injury timeout. That's a member of Indian Hills who is down currently. When we pick back up, it will be 2nd down. Fort Lee still inside their own 20. Number 58 for Fort Lee, Aiden Suh, back on the field. He had to be helped off before, so that's good to see. He is back in this one. There is one Fort Lee player who just got up off the turf himself. An Indian Hills player is still down. So we're currently in the middle of an official timeout with 4:39 remaining in the 4th quarter. Both teams are back on the field. Clock is running. 2nd and 5 coming up. Luke Senator pitches it back to his brother. That wasn't really a pitch, but it was a backwards throw. I don't know why Fort Lee did that. CJ Senator does make the grab, but he is tackled for a loss. He caught it, so the clock will continue to run. 3rd and long coming up for the Bridgemen. By the time this play is over, though, there will be less than 4 minutes remaining in this one. Senator back to pass. Trying to go deep. He's going to have to escape the pressure first. Throws on the run. Jacob Greenberg has the catch. Ball went just over the head of the second defender, and Jacob Greenberg with a huge first down grab. Pushed out of bounds, so that stops the clock, but that's a backbreaker for Indian Hills. They had Fort Lee pinned deep on 3rd and long. They could have gotten the stop. They could have gotten the ball back with good field position and multiple timeouts. Instead, Luke Senator keeps the play alive and finds Jacob Greenberg for the first down reception. 1st and 10 coming up from the Fort Lee 42. And a whistle halts our momentum. Indian Hills can't really afford to give up another first down. CJ Senator on the run. Taken down at, we'll see where they spot it, either the 47 or the 48, looks like the 47. Yep, the 47, and we are now under 3 minutes to play in this one. Dan Morangi is going to have to start thinking about using his remaining timeouts. Fort Lee leading by 5 and winding the clock down. Luke Senator gives it back to his brother. CJ spins. CJ Senator has a first down.
First down run by CJ Senator at the Indian Hills 46-yard line. 1st and 10.
And now Fort Lee can taste it.
7-yard gain on the play.
Under 2.5 to go. Fort Lee now in Indian Hills territory with a fresh set of downs. The Braves are not using any timeouts. The Senator brothers, like they've done all year so far for Mike Gerst, doing damage. Luke Senator with 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception, and 1 rushing touchdown. It's going to be Fort Lee taking a timeout here. Mike Gerst uses the timeout and stops the clock with 1 minute and 46 seconds remaining. Fort Lee should just keep the ball on the ground now, and 1 more first down will just about wrap this one up and give them a huge victory over Indian Hills. These teams looking for a 3-0 divisional start.
Bridgeman from the Indian Hills 46-yard line.
They give it back to CJ Senator.
CJ Senator on the carry, no gain.
Short gain, if any, there, and now Dan Morangi uses his second timeout. So Indian Hills can stop the clock 1 more time. We have 1:39 remaining in the 4th quarter. 99 ticks of the clock.
Fans, if you have any trash that you put into the stand with your food, please bring it to the garbage pails as accordingly and place it neatly in the bin. Thank you.
They're going to say it was no gain on that last run for CJ Senator, so it'll be 2nd down and 10. You figure Fort Lee will run it one more time here, and then Dan Morangi will quickly call a timeout. Luke Senator is going to take it himself into Indian Hills territory. He is tackled by Perron, but he stays in bounds. That was a 1st down run for Luke Senator, but Dan Morangi has used his final timeout. So he did not get the 1st down. 3rd and 3 is going to be the call. So a 7-yard run for Luke Senator. A minute 26 remains, but Indian Hills cannot stop the clock. So when we come out of this timeout, this play is going to be for all the marbles. If Fort Lee gets the first, they will win. If Indian Hills gets the stop here, they should be able to get the ball back with a little under a minute remaining. Trailing by 5. Luke Senator going to take it himself. Luke Senator tackled, I believe, by Patrick Gribben. It's going to be close. Did he get the first? I don't think he did. He didn't. Only 1 yard on that run for Luke Senator. Now if you're Mike Gerst, you're already in Indian Hills territory. They haven't moved the ball that well. Do you go for it here? It looks like no. It looks like he's going to play it safe and try to pin the Braves back deep. The clock continues to run. Fort Lee can burn a lot of time before they punt this one off. And it will be Luke Senator doing the honors. I believe that's number 6, De Leon, back to receive for Indian Hills. Fort Lee ran the clock all the way down. They will get banged for a delay of game, but it's 4th down anyway, so Mike Gerst doesn't really care. The clock stops with 31.2 seconds remaining. And so by the time they get the ball back, assuming they don't run for a touchdown, Indian Hills will start their final possession with a little under half a minute to go. Protection is obviously key here. A flag has been thrown again. Is Indian Hills going to give Fort Lee those 5 yards right back? Yes, they are. Illegal procedure is the call. I think we're ready to go this time. Luke Senator with the left foot. That one's high. It did not travel very far. Takes a friendly bounce, and it is downed by Collado. So a tall order for Indian Hills. 22.8 seconds remain. They cannot stop the clock. They trail by 5, and they are going to be right around their own 10. It looks like they're going to be at their 15-yard line. Maybe not even. So Fort Lee is in prevent defensive mode here. You just want to avoid the really long play. Kazmerchak, a laser that is caught by Perron, but they're going to have to move quickly. He did not get out of bounds before getting tackled. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. And they spike it. 4.1 seconds remain, so Indian Hills really only has time for one more play. And you're probably likely to see either a Hail Mary here or a play where receivers try to keep throwing the ball backwards and advancing. Fort Lee, one defensive play away from a 3-0 start to the season. The Indian Hills huddle breaks. And here we go. Kazmerchak does have a receiver. Now we got to watch for the laterals. De Leon avoids the tackle, but goes out of bounds. No time is left on the clock. Fort Lee is 3-0, and they are in first place in the SFC IV Red Division. They did it with their offense in their first 2 games. Here in their home opener, they do it with their defense. And head coach Mike Gerst has his 10th win as head football coach at Fort Lee. Indian Hills falls to 2-2 on the season and 2-1 in division. Fort Lee now 3-0. They will have a 4th consecutive divisional matchup in exactly 1 week. Do tune in on Friday, September 26th, when the Bridgemen host Bergen Tech. I want to thank everybody who makes these games and these streams possible. A special shout out to Fort Lee Athletic Director Mike Raftery. Your final score, the Fort Lee Bridgemen 13, the Indian Hills Braves 8. I'm Tommy Aquilina saying thank you so much for tuning into this Friday Night Lights matchup, and we will see you right back here, same time, same place in 1 week. Have a great Friday and a great weekend, everybody. So long.